Rural Heritage on RFD TV is brought to you by Rural Heritage Magazine, a bi-monthly magazine featuring articles about farming and logging with draft animal power, small-scale diversified family farming and homesteading, and other aspects of our rich rural heritage. Rural Heritage Magazine, borrowing from yesterday to do the work of today. For subscription information, please call 319-362-3027 or order online at www.ruralheritage.com.
My wife and I had two contracting businesses in Los Angeles, California, and we made a lot of money and didn't have any fun whatsoever. One day she bought a donkey on the internet. We had no donkey experience. We didn't know donkeys at all, literally. She had a horse, and we wanted a buddy for the horse. And so we got this donkey right over there in that pen. We still have her. Her name's Izzy. And we just completely fell in love with her. It's like a big dog. As I said, had no donkey experience, and here we have this whole new world open to us. And just like anything else, I drive a Jeep Wrangler. What do you know? I notice other Jeep Wranglers on the road. So you get a donkey, you notice other donkeys. They were there all along, you just never paid them any mind. So she started finding these donkeys that weren't healthy, that didn't act like our little Izzy did. And she would buy them and pay somebody to bring them out to the house, and we'd hire the vet to come out and look at them. And I'd sit out in the pen at night after work and talk to him. And after a while, the first one she got was just as friendly as Izzy. And by that time, she found two others. And those had been so mistreated, if you tried to touch them, they'd shake and fall over. So she bought those and did the same. Brought them home, paid the vet, sat in the pen, talked to him for a spell. And it just kept progressing like that until we had 25 donkeys. So I can't say we ever really set out in the beginning to start a donkey rescue. We just started rescuing donkeys. And the rescue came about so we had a way to place them. We couldn't sell them. You can't sell them because you don't have a say of what happens. If we're a rescue and we adopt them, then we can control what happens to them. And we never anticipated what was going to happen. We were contractors. You know, that's what I grew up in from the time I was 16 years old in the construction field. They can be quite loud, especially when a couple of them start competing. But anyway, it was only supposed to be a little hobby for the family, and the more we saw, the more we were asked to do, and the bigger it grew. We are now the largest equine rescue anywhere in the world. We work the lower 48, Hawaii, and the Caribbean, and there's no end in sight. Around 2008, Texas Parks and Wildlife shot 80 donkeys on the Rio Grande, and it was a public relations nightmare for them. So they called us in to do some capturing instead of shooting. And we did a television show. We did Texas Country Reporter, which is really big here in Texas. And apparently every sheriff in every county of Texas watches that show because my phone exploded. I was doing 10 times the work out here by myself than my staff in California was. So we decided we have a permanent facility here. And by this time we were also spreading out nationwide. We have over 30 satellite facilities now, and it's much easier to administer those from the middle of the country than it was from one end of it. So now we pride ourselves, we can be anywhere in the country in 48 hours. We can haul 30 donkeys per rig, and we usually have 3 to 4 rigs going at any one time. This is a whole different world than the for-profit world. You know, you advertise, you do all the things you can to make as much money as you can for your own benefit. With this, it's a losing money loser. Our donkey adoption fees don't even approach what it costs us to bring these donkeys in and get them healthy and get them trained and all that. So we rely on public support. We don't take any government money whatsoever. The way I look at the nonprofit world is we're supposed to be a public benefit. That's why the money is tax deductible. And me rescuing a donkey is really no benefit to the public. Me rescuing a donkey so that the government doesn't have to spend the tax money to do it is a benefit to the government. So when we work in a place like Death Valley, I don't take any government funds. That's all from people that care about donkeys to be used for donkeys, and no taxpayer dollars are injured in the making of this project. And that to me is the way it's supposed to be done. You know, I think the public has a right to get a benefit out of the donation money, you know, being put to the proper use. Don't get me started on churches and all that, but I think they have a duty to the public at large as well. I think they should be the first go-to, the first homeless place to go to, the first soup kitchen, which they used to be. Goodwill, Salvation Army, they were ministries until they started taking government money, and now they had to stop doing that and most of the programs, which to me is defeating. I won't change my mission or the way I do it because I'm better at it. Peaceful Valley is a rescue, and a rescue is an action. We physically go out and remove donkeys from bad situations and bring them to safety. And that could mean many different things. For instance, we just had a call out to San Antonio. There's a donkey with very, very long hooves. It's terrible. It's a criminal case against it. And this donkey has got a long road to recovery. We do a lot of wild burrow captures, and we do that where they're under threat of being destroyed. So being proactive, we want to try to get into these areas and mitigate the numbers without having to do total removals. But in some places like the national parks, there's a zero tolerance. So what we don't take will be shot, okay? So that's the rescue end of what we do. We're also a donkey adoption organization. So we have this nationwide network where we move our donkeys, they get trained, they're friendly, they'll pick up their feet for trimming, the whole 9 yards. We move them around, and because we have a lot more luck adopting them where they're not as common. So in New England, we can adopt 20, 30 donkeys before they ever get out of the trailer because they're just not as common. People really want them. Pacific Northwest, same thing. 1,000 donkeys here. We have the staff, we have the equipment, we have everything we need. But that's it. 1,000 is all we can do. So when the numbers exceed that, then they go out into our sanctuary program. And sanctuary is just that. These are usually minimum 500 acres, and oftentimes they're several 500-acre fenced parcels combined. And we'll put anywhere from, and some of our sanctuaries are small, maybe 20 donkeys. But usually 100, 200 donkeys will go out on this, and they'll rotate around these pastures, and they get brought in every 3 months, make sure that they're healthy, trim hooves, vaccinate, deworm, whatever we need to do. And so those are the ones that aren't right now suitable for adoption. And a lot of those are the wild guys that get brought in. So it's sort of an in-between from being totally wild to being partially wild and still having people contact. And then from there, we can try to work them into the adoption program. So we have a lot of different components to what we do. Our donor base is all throughout the country. Our donors are from all over the country, predominantly from the 2 coasts. And they're just people that sort of are, well, if you're a donor, I'm a donor. I'm one of Peaceful Valley's biggest donors, actually. So I get inundated with requests from other charities. And as you're looking through them, there'll be a stack of 20 horse rescues and a stack of 20 dog rescues and a stack of 20 cat rescues and only 1 donkey. So you're going to open that one first because it's unique. And once people find out about donkeys, because let's face it, donkeys have a very bad reputation in this country. They're stubborn, they're stupid. And so part of what I do is I try to tell their story. And so I spend a lot of time on a lot of couches, drinking a lot of sweet tea, and just relating stories. I mean, every donkey that's out here, I got a story that goes along with them and why that animal is special, why it's unique, and why they're worth saving. Donkeys they're like dogs, is the only thing I can compare them to. I train dogs. And donkeys are very similar. They're loyal as a dog. They are protective like a dog. I was attacked by wild dogs on the trail one time, and the donkey attacked the dogs to protect me. You'll see a lot of donkeys out with calves while they're cows while they're calving, with sheep, goats, things like that, and that's because they will bond with those and consider them family and protect them from predators. But you couldn't ask for a more loyal friend. I've been thrown off horses and had to walk back home because that horse met me at the gate. I've never had a donkey abandon me on the trail, ever. And I don't tie them. I used to pack Death Valley a lot. We just walked in a big group. They would never leave me. And then, except at night, I would have to hobble them because they'd start grazing and end up 5 miles away. So we'd have to keep them close to camp. But no, they're no more loyal pet you could ask for than a donkey. First of all, we're all cowboys over here, right? You'd be hard pressed to find John Wayne riding a donkey, right? The hero always rides the horse, and the sidekick rides the donkey, okay? And that goes all the way back to Sancho Panza, right? Don Quixote. There's always a sidekick, the little funny guy riding the donkey. Bugs Bunny turned into a donkey anytime he did something stupid. Pinocchio turned into a donkey when he was overindulgent, right? These are stereotypes that have stuck. So people assume well, it must be true. One problem with donkeys is they don't show pain. They're very stoic. And it's to their detriment because they will work sore. They'll work, and when they're sick, you oftentimes don't know how sick they are until they're past the point of help. That's how stoic they are. But donkeys do very well in hotter temperatures. That's the ears, just like a mule deer or jackrabbit. All right, buddy. The ears help keep the blood cool in the brain. They can go long time without water. They can lose 30% of their body weight through dehydration and gain it back in just a few minutes of drinking. So they are just a remarkable machine for agriculture, for mining, for transportation. They're the ultimate, really. They can be trained to do tasks on their own. There's a million stories from a million islands where they'll ride the donkey to the beach, get in the boat, go fishing around, and the donkey meets them on the other side to take them home. And they do that every day. There's villages in South and Central America where the women load the laundry onto the donkeys, take it to the river, load the water on the donkeys go back to town, they dump the water in the well, they go back and do that all day, and then finally they bring the laundry home at the end of the day. I mean, and this is all without somebody leading them by the nose. This is just how smart and functional they are. Problem here in America is we stopped really using them in the early part of the 1900s. Really, the mining was the last big hoorah for donkeys here in the United States. Before that, though, the railroads would have never been built without donkeys. They don't get the credit for it, but they were the only ones that could get the food and explosive materials up into these passes to start working that the bigger animals could never do. This is the world of internet. If you Google donkey rescue, I'm the top 3, usually 6 or 8 of the top 10, but I'm always the top 3, so people can always find us on the internet. We're all over social media. Basically, most people aren't out there thinking, oh, donkeys, I wonder if they're doing okay. Let's Google that. They have to watch a show like this. This is Job. This is my most favorite donkey in the world. He's about 45 years old. And back in my Death Valley days, when we go packing, and all the donkeys would be hobbled at night, well, the wild jacks would like to come in and flirt with the girls. So Job's job was to stay loose, and he would fight those jacks all night long. I kid you not. And then he'd come and stand over my sleeping bag and drool on my head until another one came in. But he was a pistol. He's still a scrapper at his age. We'll put the younger ones in there just to teach them a little manners with him. We undergo an independent audit every year. And they come in, the accountants come in, they take over the visitor center, and they go through every check, every receipt, every bank statement, everything across the board. And we prefer it that way because no one can ever accuse me of taking a trip on, I'm taking my wife to the Caribbean for our anniversary week after next. You can go through the books and I'll guarantee you the rescue did not pay for our trip. That's our money paid for that. And so it's a huge load off knowing that there is, and all of our tax returns, our audits, everything's online. I think it goes back to probably, I don't know, 2010 or better. Everything's there. People are always welcome to come out here to see what we do. You know, in the world of scams, everybody's always a little, I've got facilities all across the United States. We got one close to you. Come out and pet a donkey and see what we're all about. We really encourage people to come out and see, our donors especially, come out and see where your money's going. Meet Job. You know, meet these donkeys.
Hi, I'm Joe Mishka of Rural Heritage Magazine. I'm on location of one of the many events we cover that celebrates our rural heritage. If you enjoy our show, check out our magazine, where you'll learn more about the people that blend the past with what works today. You can save almost 20% off the newsstand price by subscribing at ruralheritage.com or chat with us at 877-647-2452. That's toll-free, 877-647-2452.
Hey y'all, I'm Stacy Lynn and welcome to my kitchen. Today I'm going to be making skillet pecan-crusted salmon with an orange ginger glaze, served on southern sauteed collards.
Stacy Lynn, savor the good life.
I'm going to start by making the orange ginger glaze. The first thing I'm going to add is a little bit of soy sauce. I'm just going to add everything right to the pan before I even turn it on. You can just mix it all together. Nothing has to go in first, second, third, fourth, whatever. Now I'm going to put a little bit of orange zest right into the pan. You don't want to get too deep because it's going to get really bitter on you. And you know, I don't have to measure this out. If you're looking for an exact recipe, then go to my website at gameandgarden.com and I'll have it posted for you. But to me, the fun of cooking is just looking at it and seeing what it needs, tasting it, seeing, just using your senses to cook. Okay, so I'm gonna do that. And you can always add more later if you want to. I'm gonna add a little bit of ginger. This is fresh ginger. There's just nothing like fresh ginger. So if you have powdered, you can use it, but it's much better with fresh. Next is my secret ingredient, which is cane syrup. You're gonna love it. Alaga has the best cane syrup around. I sprayed this measuring cup with a little bit of Pam before I did this so that I could get all of that goodness right into the pot, but I'm gonna add even more. I just love this stuff. Okay, that's gonna make this thing sing. It's gonna be amazing. Along with that orange zest and ginger. Okay, I'm gonna add a little bit of cornstarch. That's just gonna help it get a little bit thick. I'm not adding too much because you don't want a paste. Okay, and then I'm gonna squeeze an entire orange into the sauce. I'm gonna add a little bit of garlic, and you know, it doesn't have to be just so precise. Just cut it, chop it into little bitty tiny pieces. Cooking's so much more fun when you don't make it too difficult, and you just do what you love. Just pound on this just a tiny tad and cut it, and in it goes. Okay, and actually, I find that the bigger that the garlic is, the less bitter it becomes and the more sweet it is. It's really interesting. Okay, so I'm gonna bring that to a boil and then I'm gonna lower it to a simmer. Okay, so get those ingredients stirred really well. When it comes to a boil, turn it down to a simmer and let it go until it thickens. Now I'm about to make my fresh collards. Now, if you don't grow collards, you really need to start growing collards. They're so easy to grow and so easy to pick. The thing is, most people in the South that I know don't like to grow them because they have to bring them in and wash them and they have to get all the dirt off. I have a video for you on how to pick these with the minimal amount of dirt. But anyway, back to cooking. And I have a cast iron skillet, but you can use any skillet. And I'm gonna put a little bit of olive oil into the pan, let it be getting hot, and a little bit, another secret weapon of a Southerner, and I think used within reason, it's okay, and it's a little bit of bacon grease. But any real Southerner is gonna want a little bacon grease, seasoning is what they call it, just seasoning, into their pan. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and throw these onions. This is about one small onion or a half of a giant onion, so it kind of depends. And again, you know, just do what you like, all right? So I'm gonna go ahead, put that in there and let that sweat. Add 2 cloves of garlic. If you can't tell, I really love my garlic. So if you're not a big, huge garlic fan, don't put it in there. It's all about what you like, okay? So sprinkle that over here. By the way, your orange ginger glaze is probably done. It only takes about less than 5 minutes to get done, so I'm gonna turn that off. All right, back to the collards. You're just gonna stack these up. And I've never packed a cigar roll, so I really don't know what that's like, but people have explained it that way before. You just put all of these on top of each other in a beautiful little bouquet. Be beautiful as a bouquet. Anyway, put these all together, and then you're gonna roll it up like you're rolling up a cigar. Okay, so I'm just gonna roll them really, really tight. And I'm gonna cut across into strips. The thinner you cut them, the faster they're gonna cook. And Southerners tend to really overcook their greens, which I like, I really do. But this particular dish, since I'm pretending that this is my starch, my noodles, I want them to be have a little bit of a bite. Okay, so all I'm doing is just putting them right down in the pan. I'm gonna add a little bit of salt at this point, and a little bit more salt, because I love salt. Okay, and stir this up just a little bit, get it down in the pan, okay? Collards and greens are my best friend during the winter months when I don't get as much exercise. So I try to replace 3 of my starches a week at least. Like normally you could serve this over potatoes or sweet potatoes or rice, and it would be fantastic and be a little bit meatier, and I do that for the kids. But for me and my husband and anybody else, and you know what's inevitable is all the kids want this instead of the other. So you're just gonna have to grow some collards. So you can just walk out the back door, get the collards, come inside and cook them. And really, you could just have that as a meal. Be really good. Now for the pecan-crusted salmon. It's so simple. Just grind pecans, pepper, panko, parsley, and salt. It's that easy. Put your crust right into a shallow dish, and then press salmon right in. The salmon is gonna be so delicious. With that sauce, it's just gonna be killer. Okay, so try to get it all over as thick as you can. And this is about a 6-ounce, 4 to 6 ounce piece of meat. For a great presentation, you could do an entire big, huge salmon fillet like this, just, you know, the whole thing. It would be absolutely gorgeous. Okay, now for the last part of this dish. It's gonna be fabulous. A little bit of olive oil and a little bit of butter. The butter will help this to brown, and the olive oil will not burn. So, and the butter gives it a little bit of flavor. Okay, so make sure you've coated the bottom of the pan really great. I'm gonna put this flesh side down into the pan. Okay, and I love hearing that sizzle. You know that your pan is hot enough when you get to hear that sizzle. You'll let this go for about 2 minutes and then turn it over. Then I'm gonna cook it all right here on the stovetop, but you can brown it, turn it over, and put it straight into a 200, 300 degree oven and let it go for about 5, 6 minutes, and you know, until it's nice and flaky and delicious. So I'm gonna let that go for another minute. I think we're about ready to plate. This is gonna be amazing. And then for the sauce. Orange, ginger, sweet lusciousness. Look at that. That is gonna be so good. So that's the pecan-crusted salmon. For this recipe and others like it, go to my website, gameandgarden.com. I'm Stacy Lynn. See you next time.
Stacy Lynn.
This program is available for purchase. To order your copy, please call 319-362-3027 or visit www.ruralheritage.com. Rural Heritage is a bi-monthly magazine dedicated to draft animal farming and logging, as well as other aspects of our rich rural heritage. It is published by Mishka Press, which also offers a complete line of back-to-the-land books, DVDs, and calendars. Call or write for a catalog or subscription information, or visit our website at www.ruralheritage.com.